live in about 10 seconds, I think.
10, 4. Oh my God, you shouldn't have told me that. You shouldn't have told me we're going to be live in 10 seconds. That hurts me.
You know what? I got to change the view because we're not on a view where we can see both of us at once. So let me do that. Why is it not showing me that? Okay, well, anyway, hi everyone, it's Sariskin. I'm here with Duke Christoph from Atlantia as part of my Murder of Dukes interview series. Thank you, Your Grace, for joining me.
Hey, thanks. I need an excuse to wear STA garb anyway, you know.
How long has it been for you? Like all year?
It's been a while. I try to avoid it even at SCA events. So
okay.
It's been like a year or so.
All right. Well, I usually start these with your SCA origin story. So if you can start there, like where you found the SCA, when, and.
All right. So it started when I was bit by a radioactive spider. So my origin stories is probably like everyone else's, man. I was in a park. I saw a bunch of people beating each other with sticks, and I was like, you know, I need to get in on some of this, and went over there and talked to them, and they were show up next week with a jock strap and knee pads, and that almost turned me off. I was like, you know, I ain't done that since college. But anyway, I showed up. But the origin story went, I got lucky because in that practice was Sir Felix, it was Milwaukee, it was His Majesty from the East, now Tyndall. And so the origin story, I got lucky because there was just a lot of cool guys there. And that's what brought me to the SCA more than anything. I didn't really care about martial arts or, you know, anything like that. I just enjoyed the people and hanging out, and that's kind of the origin story for me.
Well, how did you decide that you liked fighting?
Oh, well, you know, who don't like hitting other people with a stick legally, you know? I mean, you sign a waiver giving me legal right to try to kill you, so, I mean, but I just liked it. I played some baseball in high school, and I just liked the physicality of what we do. And then, you know, when I found it, I was 30, almost 40 years old. So church league softball is not the same thing as heavy fighting. You know what I mean? And so I just enjoy it, man. The physicality of it, the ability to hang out with my buddies. And I mean, what can I say? That's all of it together is what I enjoy. Not just the fighting, but the hanging out and the fighting and all that jazz.
Definitely. So you don't look that old to me. So how long have you been in the SCA? Because you said you started at 40, and
I was 38. I was almost 40. So I am been in 10 years, 11 years, 2008. So no, 12 years. Okay.
So yeah. How did you hook up with your knight? Were you squired to somebody?
So what happens is, in that group of people, I met a real good guy named Sir Felix. And he was like, hey, I know this guy, right? And I want you to meet him. So I was like, all right. And I'd been fighting a couple months, and I was doing pretty good. I was like a big fish in a small pond. And so Felix walks over, and he's like, I want to introduce you to this guy. And I'm like, all right, who is it? And he's like, this is Duke Michael of Bedford, and he'd like to get some fights. And so I go, you know what? I have some time to whoop some old man's ass right now. Tell him, come on over here. So he come over, and that man put the worst ass whooping on me since my daddy when I was 12 years old. I mean, he beat the ever-loving hell out of me. And then Sir, I can't even think of his name now. What was his name, baby? Shell, she's gone somewhere. I can't even remember his name, but he beat the shit out of me too. And then I started realizing I was a big fish in a small pond. And I was like, hey, I'd like to learn some of this. Can you teach me? He's like, sure, come on over. So when I went over to his house, we got along good. He liked hunting. He liked hanging out. He liked drinking cold beer, and he liked fighting. And it was just a good mix, man. So that's basically the next 10 years of my life. You know, and looking back, it was pretty quick. It was pretty epic, and it was awesome. So,
yeah. So Michael at Bedford is sort of like a legend in the SCA, right? Like I've never met him, and you know, you hear so many things. How was it to be a Bedford Squire?
it was about what you think it was. A lot of pain, a lot of crying in the corners at night. Us squires, I think we still reach out sometime on calls, you know, support calls. And just imagine if the Emperor in Star Wars, Emperor Palpatine, took squires. That's sort of what it's like. You know what I mean?
Nice, nice. Is that something that, oh, I think I just lost your picture.
I'm back.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
Yeah, no, Mike's a good guy. So the stories are probably worse than the truth when it comes to Mike, but Mike's a good dude.
Well, I've heard great things about him, but you know, you also hear about how hard he hits. And you know, I have to confess, I looked at some YouTube video of you actually today, and I think we'll watch it later. And man, you guys hit hard in Atlantia. That's all I have to say. So if Michael Bedford is known for hitting really hard in Atlantia, I just, you know, you must have been, or you must be a really tough guy.
Just it's good armor. So when like I said, when I first started out, he beat the shit out of me. I mean, there's no way around it. And then he's like, you know why you're getting hurt? Your armor's crap. Come to my house, we'll make armor. I'll make you a helmet. I'll get you and stuff. And so we wear good armor, but yeah, but that's part of the fighting I like. I like the hitting hard and I, you know, and when Bedfords fight each other, it's kind of no holds barred, Katie bar the door, you know, we swing for the fences because that's what we expect. That's what we want from our opponents, and that's what we give.
Cool. So how long were you squired to Michael of Bedford?
7 years.
7 years. Okay.
Yeah, 7 years.
Right.
Pure marital bliss.
And what was that like? What kind of training do you get as a Bedford Squire?
So I don't know if it's, you know, I didn't know really any other training, but our training was basically we would show up at the house on weekends and cook out and fight for 2 days. And I was lucky enough that the people that come over at Mike's, they were looking for excellence, and Mike give you excellence. And if you're willing to learn, you become good quick or pretty decent. And so I just got lucky that way. And so training was show up on Tuesday night, we'd fight 2 or 3 hours, might run out to the Waffle House, eat something, show up on Saturday for a cookout and train a little bit. And that's basically it. And so after a while getting beat on the man, you learn defense, you know what I mean? Right. So I think we're some of the best defensive fighters out there. So that's my training.
Definitely. Actually, that sounds kind of like heaven. Cooking out and fighting on the weekend is kind of my idea of the perfect Saturday. So.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah. So is he a proponent of pell work? Did you do pell work as a squire?
Not really. I didn't do much pell work at all. Now I would go home and try to practice some of the things that we talked about at practice, but I don't ever remember him saying, you need to go home and try this on the pell. He was one of more of the teachers like, hey, why aren't you doing it this way? Come here and I'll show you by beating on you over and over and over again. So, you know, I wasn't a big pell guy.
Okay.
But, you know, I still use it to work out stuff. Like a lot of my practices, I'll go into a practice and the only thing I'll do is want to throw a flat snap right all night because I feel like I've gotten sloppy doing it. So I'll go to a practice and that's all I do all night is work on throwing that one flat snap. So that's mainly how we train there. He also had a great thing where it was called toe to line, where 2 guys would stand in about A range and we would just take turns throwing flat snaps at each other. I would throw a flat snap and the next guy throw a flat snap. And that's all he did was trade these flat snaps back and forth. And it done well by teaching form. on that flat snap. You were going to get hit, you were going to block. So it was good.
I was going to say, were you allowed to block?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're allowed to block. So, but you start getting in this rhythm. And as you get in this rhythm back and forth, you see where you're messing up and what works and what not, and what doesn't work. And so that rhythm starts building in that muscle memory that's just so important to what we do.
And I think that's an interesting drill. Were you allowed to move so that you could find your angles? And
so he'd done a couple good ones. So the first one, toe to line, we would just stand almost toe to toe and just throw flat snaps. And that was to get that rhythm, that muscle memory. Then there was another one where we'd step up in B or A range. And like if me and you were training, you get 3 shots at me. I can't run backwards. I can defend, but I can't go backwards. So after your 3 shots, I get 3 shots at you. And you would be surprised how quick you start learning these combos that don't work. All these things that you go to the pail and think, oh, I can do all this nice stuff and it'll work. You realize all that stuff, you just might as well throw it in a dumpster and start all over on that 3-shot combo type thing. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
And the best training was I had some squire brothers that we just talked cash crap to each other in tournaments, and we pushed each other like I mean, you call that fighting, man? Jesus Christ, come on. so I'm telling you, shit talking is the best motivator.
Yeah. So tell me about your first event. Like, it sounds like you sort of found the SCA and you liked the fighting and you liked the people, but you weren't really into the medieval thing. So how did the SCA convert you?
I don't really know. I always joke my persona is 21st century stick jock, and that's the way I ran for a long time. I would want to just show up, fight, and kind of go about my business. But I think what really got me starting to enjoy it a whole lot more was my wife. She showed up and she was really into, and she still is, she's a big history fan, and she's the one that was like, hey, you sort of got a responsibility to this game that's given you so much to give back. And I think that was about 2010 we met, that I really started wanting to do things other than fight. I wanted to volunteer and give back, because I've been super fortunate. I mean, this game's given me more than I've ever will be able to give back. So but my first event, I showed up, I sat on a cooler full of beer and Mountain Dew and wore some kind of tunic I think I got from Gold Key, and got done, went home and done it again the next weekend. And I hooked up with my squire brothers, and that's all we did. It was just every weekend we'd ride, sit on a cooler with some beer, fight, gone.
Sounds pretty fun. I heard there's a good story about how you met your wife and when you met your wife. You want to tell that story?
Yeah, I can. So we have an event called War of the Wings, and so it was a small event, and then this year it got super big. So we were camping, and I got up my buddy Angus, who was my squire brother, and we show up after work. We go in our tent, hottest balls, man. So we open up all the walls, right, in the tent, and we're getting dressed to go to this social that they have. So about the time I drop my britches, I look up and there's this girl walking up the road, and she's just staring at me, and I just get red, like I've been caught with my britches down. So I just stop and I go to pull my britches up, and she looks at me. She goes, go on, pull them on down, finish what you were doing. And so I froze like a deer in headlights, right? So I sat down on the bed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to eat. I'm thinking to myself, come on, it's time to perform. This is what you've been waiting for your whole life. This hot chick comes out into your tent. Does you pull your pants down? Let's go. And I just sat there like I didn't know what to do. And she went, nothing to see here. And she walked off. And then I got dressed, and I found her a little bit later at the at the social that we had that night, and talked to her, and man, we hit it off like peas and carrots. I mean, so we just had a good time, and yeah, it was a great time. And like I said, I'll never forget that night because it went from an event of maybe 100 people to I think it was 1,000 people. And so I walked her back to her tent, and I bet it was 2 o'clock at night. And I kissed her and I said, like, hey, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And she's like, okay. And I turned around and this fog had come up. I realized, like, oh, Jesus, I don't know where the hell I'm at. Right? I only know where my camp is. It's pitch black. A fog has rolled in, and I don't know where I'm going. And it was just dead quiet. Even the drums had stopped. And in the distance, I heard something go, honk. I said, what the hell is that? And I heard something go, honk. And I realized it was my squire brother's Angus snoring. And so his snore was like a beacon that led me back to my tent. And I don't know if you ever, I don't know if you've seen Excalibur, and you remember the chick Morgana, and she was like, that's me, and all that.
Yes.
Fog was coming out.
Through the fog,
yeah, it was reversed. My squire brother was snoring so bad he was sucking the fog in, right? Around my tent, it was no fog. I mean, this man led me like a lighthouse right back to my tent. So it was pretty good. So I get back to the tent. Next day, oh, by the way, I had a beard, and my wife is like, I don't really like guys with facial hair, because I asked her on a date. I said, I'd like to come back tomorrow and do some courting with you, and she's like, okay. And she, you know, as we're talking, I realized she don't like facial hair. So I tell my 2 squad brothers the next morning, there's a little town. I was like, hey, run into town, get me some shaving cream, get me some razors. I'm gonna shave, right? So they're like, no problem, man, no problem. Well, they come back, and they have one pink razor, single-bladed razor, and no shaving cream, right?
Oh,
and so I might as well. And then they sit on their tailgate eating Bojangles chicken, looking and laughing at me, right? And I might as well took a cat claw and just ripped all the hair off my face, but I did it. I suffered through it with that one razor and shaved. And so that's kind of how we met. We went out on that date that Saturday. That was Friday night. Saturday, I shaved, ripped my face all up, and I think we moved in together 2 days later and ain't been apart.
Wow. That's really fast.
Some people call it kidnapping. I call it moving in together.
She sounds like a pistol. So, yeah. Very cool. So did she like you clean shaven?
She thought it was adorable that I went through so much pain. I wouldn't even call it really shaved as much as I looked like a dog with mange. But I didn't get all that hair off, but she thought it was adorable, and I guess that's all that mattered.
Yeah, I guess so. That's hilarious. So in Atlantia, is it culturally acceptable or appropriate for unbelts to fight in Crown? Were you fighting in Crown as an unbelt?
I did. So I fought 2 crowns as an unbelt. I fought the year that Mike won just because I wanted to see what it was like. And that's the year I met my wife. And then 2 years later, I fought for her, the first time I fought for her as an unbelt. So, yeah, I fought in Crown, I think, 6 times. And I made it to 4 finals and lost 2 of those finals. So, but I don't see why. I think anybody who wants to fight Crown should fight Crown. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? To see where you are amongst other people that you consider your peers, your friends, and your equals, betters, whatever. Yeah, we totally fight Crown.
Yeah, that's the way the culture is where I live too, but it isn't like that everywhere. So
where do you stay at?
Ontier. I'm up in Ontier.
What states are that?
Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and British Columbia.
Oh, cool. That's pretty big up that way, ain't it?
It is big. we drive long ways. So, but you know, we don't get to go to all the inter-kingdom wars either because we're sort of isolated in the corner. So, yeah. But it's fun.
You ought to come to War of the Wings if you ever make it to the East Coast. My absolute favorite event. If we ever go to events again, I'm still not sure.
Is that the one that's over Memorial Day weekend?
No, this one is around the second week of October, and it's in the foothills of the North Carolina mountains, some of the prettiest country you'll ever lay eyes on. It's a real cool site. I think we get close to about 2,000 people for that week, but
Wow.
it's my absolute favorite event.
What makes it so special? What do you like about it?
First of all, it's where I met my wife. It's 2.5 hours from the house. And to me, it's that about 2,000 people, and they're all SCA. So it's this intimate SCA event. The fighting's good. The hanging out is good. The weather is perfect. I mean, it don't usually that week get higher than low 80s. And at night, it can drop down to freezing. And you're in the mountains. If you couldn't see the cars, most of the whole site is just really immersive. The way the hills, the mountains, and just everything's away, man. I don't know. I mean, we all have our favorite events, and that one's definitely mine.
Yeah. It's amazing how.
And it don't hurt that it's 2.5 hours from home.
Yeah. It's amazing how a beautiful site can really transform the experience. So let's talk about the crowns that you fought in. Well, let's talk about you getting knighted. Was that a surprise?
Yeah. That was a surprise.
You tell the story.
I mean, I was knighted. Mike Bedford had a chance to smack the shit out of me, which he was more than happy to do. I mean, ain't much of a story there. My very first Penzic, I watched Sir Roussel get knighted, and I seen a man smack him. I swore up and down. I was like, nobody's ever going to smack me like that. And 7 years later, there's Bedford smacking the shit out of me. So I was wrong. But
you got to get knighted by your knight. That's pretty unique.
Well, Duke Ragnar knighted me. Mike got to smack me. And I'll never forget, he walks into the tent and he walks in there and he goes, yep, I need you for about 2 more years, but I'm going to let you go. I was like, well, thanks a lot, man. That's confidence builder to a new knight.
Well, he needed you. You didn't need him, right? I mean,
well, the very next year I won Crown Tournament. So I wanted to turn to him and go, there you go. How do you like that, old man?
Did you say that?
I did. In my mind, I did.
So he gave you the buffet and Ragnar didn't, or did you get 2 buffets?
I only got one. So in Atlantia, usually your knight will buffet you. The king will knight you, and your knight buffets you. So he got to buffet me.
That's kind of a cool prerogative.
Yeah, I mean, I only had one request that he trim his fingernails so he don't cut me and I get infected with like his evilness. No, I'm just joking.
Take off all his rings.
That's right. Take his rings off. But it's a picture out there somewhere, and it's I think Ursus took the picture, and it's perfect because everything on this side of my face is on this side of my face. You just see it just
all the ripples of the skin.
Yeah, it was a nice one. It was a grown man buffet.
I like the good buffet pictures and the good buffet videos. Those are priceless. So, did you have a vigil, or did you just get knighted the same day that you?
No, I had a vigil. So they pulled me. It was April. I had a vigil in the middle of a thunderstorm. They poured so much ice water on me, I thought my heart was going to stop.
For your bath?
Yeah, I mean, my bath, yeah, that was a hell of a bath. I guess I had a lot of sins and transgressions to wash away. I don't know, but it was thundering, it was lightning. They poured in there, they stuck me in a tent, and I'll never forget, I'm freezing in that tent. And I hear my wife, maybe Bedford thought that tents were soundproof, but my wife goes, hey, Mike, I'd like to take him a dry tunic. And Mike goes, fuck him. It's like, wow. Love. And so I sat in there and I talked to Mike and we had some good conversations. A lot of good people came up. It was a surprise. And they let me out of my vigil tent I say about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm starting to go to the cabins we were staying in, and I looked up, and this yellow FJ Cruiser come whooping in just as fast as it could, sliding in, and out jumped Sir Falcone. He heard that I was getting knighted, and that dude, when he heard they announced it on Facebook, he drove 3 hours, dropped everything he was doing to drive, and I'll never forget that. He whoops up at 3 o'clock in the morning, jumps out. In his hand is a bottle of liquor. He didn't even have shoes on, just had a bottle of liquor.
The important thing.
Give me his words. After he give me his words, he goes, "Do you mind if I sleep in this vigil tent?" I was like, "Go for it, man. I don't even know whose freaking tent this is. I don't care." Yeah, go for it. So that was pretty cool, man, to see someone take that time to do that for me. So there's a lot of love.
Cool. Did you get any vigil advice that you remember that was particularly?
There's one I'll never forget. Duke Cohen comes up to me and he goes, "Never forget the man who brought you here, but you don't have to bring them their water no more." It's like, there we go.
Nice. All right. Well, you said that you've finaled in 4 crowns and you've won 2 of them. Right. Did you final before you won, or?
Yep, my first one was with Logan. It was the best fighting day I ever had in my life, sword and shield. So I went undefeated. I beat him twice with sword and board, and then we got into these mixed weapons, and he just beat the crap out of me, mixed weapons. And so for that next 6 months, I got lucky. Duke Dietrich showed me some stuff with great swords. So the following crown, I had some weapon depth under me. And so I won the second one. And then a couple years later, I finaled again against Duke Ragnar. And that's probably my favorite set of fights in the world. It was both of us. I love him and his lady. They knighted me. And so it was awesome to be in finals fighting for crown against those 2 awesome people. And it was awesome. I lost to him in that one, and then I won the next one right after that.
Who did you win against the first time?
Duke John Peregrine.
Okay.
And I won Count John, I'm sorry, and Count Elisar of Northumbria I won on my second one.
Cool. Very cool. Well, I think I have video of the second round of the Logan finals. Do you want to watch it?
Yeah, sure. I don't ever, never gonna not want to watch myself do something.
Well, I watched
is this one I get beat in, or do I win this one?
What did you say? Wait.
That's me right there. I said, is this the one I lose, or is this the one I win?
Oh, this is the one you win. But I
okay. Yeah, I definitely want to see that one then.
I couldn't see what I was sharing. Do you see
I see pictures of me. I see me where me and Angus are. It looks like we're delivering pizza to Midtown Royale.
Okay, so did it come up to YouTube now?
I don't see no YouTube. I just see it looks like your desktop and pictures of me. Are you stalking me?
Your wife sent me pictures.
Did she?
So let me see if I put that one down. Do you see YouTube?
No, I don't see no YouTube.
Oh well. Well, maybe we should look at the pictures. So let me pull those back up. Can you see the pictures now?
I see pictures. I see little thumbnails. What'd you say, babe?
Oh, you know what?
They're not live.
Here we go. Can you see YouTube now?
Yes, ma'am. I sure can.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, this is the good one. This is where the dude who filmed it slows it down and stuff.
Yeah. Can you hear the sound?
I can't.
All right, let me see if I can.
I can do a play-by-play though if you want.
You hear it now?
Oh, I hear the sound now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, play-by-play. I'm like, hey, Logan. She's like, hey, I'm just Logan. I'm like, what's up, man? She's like, hey, what's up, dude?
an intense fight.
I guess I'm smiling through the whole thing, so I don't. It was fun. I was just happy. I didn't anticipate being there.
I liked the duck there. That was nice.
So every bit of film I watch with Logan, he starts off with that first shot where it's almost like this flat snap, kind of duck and throw flat snaps. I went for his legs right off the get-go, and I didn't hit it because he throws the shield down when he throws that shot. So the king at that time, that's my knight, Mike. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but the king watching the show is Mike right there in the green.
Okay.
That's actually my panic that he stole from me. I'll never forgive him for that.
So the first time I watched that, I was like, did he duck those? What happened there?
So Logan has got a real good camera angle from one of his guys showing it, and I am just beating the corner of his shield. I'm hitting the corner of his shield because later on he says that I hit him with the basket, but I'm hitting his shield with his own back. He uses a basket for the inside of his shield, and it's hitting him in the face. But he's got a real good video that shows that I don't think I'm missing by much. You can see the corner of his shield blocking a lot of stuff. Right here, this is when he's saying that he thought I hit him in the basket. And Mike's like, nah, there's no basket going on. But it comes find out that it's his own basket in his shield constantly popping him in the face.
So interesting, like that, you know, different angles of video can tell you different things.
Oh, it is.
There's no doubt about the killing blow up here in a second.
Nah.
Wasn't hard. What? Okay. It wasn't hard. It was not fun. It may not have been hard, but it wasn't hard.
What I love about this is we fight a lot of A-frame and on tier 2, but we throw almost the whole time, and you guys are really good about still using tension when you're close.
So I try to take my sword leg and step back and create separation, plus keep my hand at like a B ring when we get in close with that A-frame.
And this is your first crown final?
Yep.
Were you nervous? Oh, here we go. This is beautiful. Boom. Nice job.
Yeah. Was I nervous? Yeah, of course I was nervous. I wasn't as nervous as I was when I won my first crown. When I won my first crown, I thought I was going to throw up on the field. It's like, Jesus, what have I done?
Well, let's talk about that. Was the goal for, I mean, did you have this desire to reign, or was the goal really more to be a duke, or?
So I actually thought my wife would look pretty in a cornet.
I'm sure she did.
I was like, so baby, let's go fight in crown tournament. That was my whole goal, was to fight in crown tournament. And then I finaled. And I was like, hey, let's do one more. We'll try it one more time. And I won it. So I didn't have a goal but to actually fight in crown tournament. Now I messed up one. Then the second time I done it, I hang around with a bunch of friends of mine who are dukes. And every time we hang out and eat, they like to make fun of me because I wasn't a Duke. And I was like, well, I'll show you, you SOBs. You know? So my second time was just so when we had hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill, they couldn't make fun of me. Like, these are Duke hot dogs. These aren't Count hot dogs. Like, so okay, yeah.
Well, let's talk about your first reign. Did you have a plan? Did you have something that you wanted to do? What was the hardest part?
You'd have to ask my wife what the hardest part was. I mean, I didn't have no hard part. I just showed up to events and just had a good time, really. I had no plan whatsoever. I just showed up and had a good time, and I wanted to make sure everyone else had a good time, because one thing you'll find out, like, when you reign, is basically you're just the facilitator of a good party. You're there to make everyone else have a good time.
Yeah, that can be hard work, though.
Yeah. I mean, it was hard work. Don't get me wrong. We traveled a lot. I think your prince and princess and king and queen for 11 months out of the year, and I think we went to an event every weekend. So.
What was your favorite part of that first reign?
My favorite part was actually, I don't know what we did in that first reign, but there was so many people going, wow, y'all seem to have so much fun that it seems like y'all have energized the community, and we're having so much fun through y'all. And just to see other people having fun was really the best part. And I got to almost cut a dude's head off one time. I was drinking in court at Order Wings, and I was like, I'm going to cut his head off because he stabbed my wife. And we were fencing at Penzic, and he stabbed her in the face while she was right. No. I'm like, hey, cut his head off. And so my champion, Christian, at the time, he plays it up. He's like, yeah, we're going to cut his head off. And I'm like, God damn, how far are we going to go with this? Are we really going to cut his head off? Right? I'm giving him an award, right? So all this stick is playing out in court, and I'm like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. But unfortunately, we cut no one's head off. There's like laws and stuff I didn't know at the time.
So how did that end then? You just sort of we
give him a Kraken, which is our grant level fighting award. His knight stepped in and told us, which good guy, the knight stepped in and said, any sins is upon the knight. And I was like, you're absolutely right, sir, but we're going to give this man a Kraken. So kind of disappointed. I was hoping to cut someone's head off, but there's always another reign.
What about your second reign? What was the best part about that one?
Making it through.
Making it through. Did you have Penzic reigns?
The first one was Gulf War. Second one was Penzic. And so, yeah, making it through the second reign was the best part of it.
What did you enjoy more, being king at Gulf Wars or king at Penzic?
I would do Gulf. If I ever reign again, it'd only be Gulf Wars.
Okay.
Gulf Wars.
So I'm supposed to ask you about the Golf NATO and the flying tent.
So it was the year they had some big hurricane. We were crowned, and we're sitting in Sinclair, Sir Sinclair, Count Sinclair, actually. Awesome dude. He sets up this big hall, and we're having a landing in court, and this tornado sits down right on Gulf Wars. And as it does, water's pouring in the tent. You see the tent raise and lower. Everyone's just holding it down. I don't know what the big deal was and why it's a flying tent. I just walked around and was like, hey, everybody calm down. And at the end, everyone kind of went in emergency mode because there was a lot of camps and stuff tore up. Went in emergency mode. And then when I stepped down, I got a fountain for being a cool dude when it happened. And on my fountain scrolls, this tent being just taken off like the Wizard of Oz, right? And our fountain is like a one-time service award that the king gave me when I stepped down. I was like, that's pretty cool. But
that is cool.
Yeah, so I mean, really nothing to tell. Oh, I did get kicked out of the Green Dragon. Yeah.
Is that a good story?
I run in there. I'm like, hey, is everybody okay? And Marion, bless her heart, she comes out and she goes, have you been drinking? I was like, my liver's not been taken out. Of course I've been drinking. She's like, get out of here right now. I was like, okay, yeah, I got kicked out of Green Dragon, but
that's funny. All right, well, let's look at the pictures that I did not stalk off of Facebook. Let's see. There we go. Okay, make that big.
Well struck, Jim.
All right, can you see the picture?
yeah, it's me.
All right, that's you? Is there a story behind this picture? Without pants?
So cute. Look at you with a little white belt on. I don't even know what the hell that picture is. I'm confused.
You have a cool chain on. I don't think I've ever seen a chain with that pattern in it.
That's a baller chain.
It's a what chain?
Baller. B-A-L-L-E-R.
That's you, King.
That's me, yeah.
And then I heard there's a story behind this picture.
Yeah, that was when we delivered pizza in Midtown, Royale. Me and my buddy Angus right there, it was our very first visit, and we're walking around, and as we're walking around, what is that noise?
Sorry. There we go. Let's just turn it off. All right.
So it was our very first visit, and me and my buddy Angus are walking around, and Low-Cat Camp is having a pizza party. So we just somehow busted into that camp, and I think to get rid of us, they just give us pizza pies and told us to hit the road. So we're walking around, and the mid-realm is having a court. And I told my buddy Angus, I said, come on, let's go. Let's get these pizzas. So we walk up, and this was at Penzic, and mid-realm had guards standing out. And I'm like, hey, dude, we got your pizza deliveries. And the guard's like, he's freaking out. He's like, no one ordered no pizza. I said, someone ordered some pizza up in this place. He said, no one ordered pizza. I said, I'm going to tell you what. I said, someone ordered pizza. I drove it here. They made me put this damn dress on. So someone's going to pay for this pizza, or I'm going to whoop somebody's ass up in this place. It don't make no never mind to me. I said, but somebody, so he disappears. And me and my buddy Angus, we're just giggling like hell. So when he disappears and left his post, we just walked right up in there with pizza and stuff. And I think they just got through Crown. I don't even know who that dude was, but that dude, I was like, hey, Midtown Royale, did anyone order some pizza? And that dude showed up. He said, y'all look like a bunch of Atlantean miscreants, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, we just messing with y'all. So we ended up sitting on the thrones and taking pictures with our pizza pies and everything else, and had a good old time. And left them pizza and walked out. And so it's amazing.
Yeah, I people that why is it doing that? Okay, that should be better. Bringing frivolity to SCA events, I think, is super important, and I think you sound like you're one of those people that's sort of a shit stirrer, but in a very fun way. Maybe. I mean it with fun, like, you know, in a good way. Yes. Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I like having a good time. You know what I mean? I think that's, we don't need to take ourselves so serious in the SCA things we do. There's nothing to fix in the SCA. There's nothing wrong. I mean, just let everybody have a good time, do your thing, and have as much fun and bring as much fun to other people as you can. And really, that's the name of the game. I mean, when it's all said and done, you have your fun, I have my fun. We all get together, and I mean, because, and I said it earlier, the SCA is the only place I've ever been that you can take a dumb country hick like me, construction worker, and we hang out with doctors, lawyers, rocket scientists, computer whizzes, and everything don't matter, not one lick. except what we do as human beings while we're sitting around that campfire and having that cold beer and playing the game. That to me is what is the magic, the dream that they talk about. Is that right there? Is that we're just people hanging out.
Right, people hanging out. And, being good to one another.
Yeah, and that's to me is the dream. It's the magic at SCA, and that's why I bitch and gripe for a week about loading up the van and going to an SCA event, and the whole time I'm driving up there, I'm just ill and grumpy. But once I get there, I'm so glad I'm there, and I have a great time. And so, yeah.
Cool. Do you have any desire to reign again?
Absolutely, Ash. Do we have a desire to reign again? She said only if I want to, so that means probably yes. We have a desire to reign again.
And if you
it's work, but it's the most fun you can have. I've had reigns, and both of them have been fun. They've been hard work, but they've been fun, man. Really been fun. So yeah, I would reign again, but I don't want to be one of those guys that reigned 42 times. I want other people to have fun, you know.
Yeah. Do you have your own squires now?
Yes, I have squires. Yeah,
do you ask them or do they ask you?
So a little bit of both. What happens is I end up hanging out with people, and I usually end up asking them because most of my squires think I can teach them something, and really it's opposite. Every squire I get for the explicit purpose that they teach me something, man. They really do. I mean, learning to fight to me is easy, but the squires I got, they're all good, really good people, and I'm lucky to have them because I look at my knight squire relationship more as you're part of my family now than what we do in the SCA. My squires, you come to the house, I feed you, we're gonna eat. I'm gonna force you to play awful board games, and I mean, so it's a little bit of both. Most of the time, it ends up that I get somebody that hangs out with us that never leaves, and I don't want them to go, and I end up going, hey, is this something you'd like to do? Or because you start getting that vibe, and they're like, I'd love to do it. So I do like a year man at arms, and then after that, if they want to squire, we squire. Because to me, it's more of a formalizing a relationship of friendship. You know, it's like putting a ring on it, kind of. Like, right. We could always live together, but it means a whole lot more if I marry you.
So really, when you decide to take someone in, you're looking for someone who's going to mesh with your family, who's going to be family with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. It's family, and like I said, all my squires are people that I aspire to be. I mean, they think that they come up to me like, you can teach me to fight, I can teach you to fight, but what happens is these squires end up teaching me how to be a decent person. I mean, I got lots of good squires, man. I really do. I wouldn't say lots. How many I got? I got maybe 4. I don't know. Now they're gonna be mad because I don't know all of them.
I'm not gonna ask you to name them.
I only give all my squires, when they squire, they only get one name, Tom. I don't care if you're a boy or a girl, but it's easier, so I can say, hey, Tom, when I'm on the battlefield. You gotta change your name when you come. It's Tom, it's nothing else.
Have any of your squires been knighted?
None. Yeah, I've only had squires for like 3 years, 4 years. And I have separation anxiety, so I'll never let them be knighted.
Now you all know.
Now you know what kind of evil person I am.
Have you carried forward sort of the Bedford training technique, or have you developed your own training technique?
So I'm a firm believer in beating a man to an inch of his life. It's the best training. So I've carried on the Bedford training technique.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So yeah. Yeah, and I think the best training is giving them the opportunity, and I pick them up. Hey, there's this great practice going on. Hop in the van. We're going to it. That's the best. That's the best training you can give anybody. Because I'm not saying the way I fight works great for all my squires. I have a female squire, Katerina, great person, awesome human being, left-handed. I happen to be right-handed. And so all I really can do is give her the house and give her the tools. And she has picked up so much from like Duke Anton, Duke Koo, and all these people. And that's all I can do is give her the opportunity for this training. And so that's what I do. And I just try to encourage her to do stuff like that. Hey, Shannon, if you're watching.
All right. Did you bring a sword with you?
Yeah, I got swords everywhere. I keep swords by my computer constantly. Is that what you wanted, a sword?
Yeah, I want to look and see how you make your sword.
Like, I don't know how to show you. So it's a Bedford heel. I do almost, my grip is a trigger finger grip, so it's narrow and gets wider at the end. And that keeps me from actually getting, what's that called? Tennis elbow.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I use shaved rattan now instead of anything else. But I mean, I make
no thrusting tip?
No thrusting tip. I don't thrust. I think it's more epic to cut a man in half than it is to poke him in the face.
Well, you have a great right cross snap. You really do.
No, thank you.
How long is your sword?
I do about 38 inches,
okay.
But I'm also about 6'3", 6'4".
Okay.
I do 38 inches, but I managed to hit most. This is sort of new, but I managed to hit people in that part of the sword most of the time. And I think my money range is B range, but my B range is a lot of people's, C range, they're long range.
Right.
But I can get in B and be pretty effective. I think that's my money making range.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you do anything special to make the sword last longer, or do you just like spiral wrap with filament tape and?
No, so if it's a crown stick, it gets one layer of the packing tape, one layer of coloring tape, and that's it. If it's a practice stick, I'll wrap the hell out of it out of packing tape. And a lot of times when I practice, I use pulped out swords to practice. I want my swords just as spongy as they can be because I want people to call a lot of my shots light. Because that makes me, if I can hit you with a pulped out stick to say, hey, that's good, I know that with a good stick, it's going to be damn good. And so I use a lot of pulped out sticks when I practice. And I just keep wrapping them up in duct tape. But yeah, a crown stick, it gets very minimal tape on it. And a crown stick, like I said, it'll last, I take probably 4 sticks to crown. One that's kind of heavy, and 3, because I don't know what's going on, you know what I mean? I don't know how my elbow will feel, how my hand will feel, how the handle's going to feel. So I take 4 sticks to crown.
What are the differences between the sticks? Like one's like lighter than the others, or?
So I always make one heavier than all of the other ones, and I always make one 36 inches. And I don't know why. It's just I guess a superstition I have, just to have those 4 sticks there. But the handles, every time I make a handle, I try to make them always the same, but they're not always the same. So if I'm not liking the way my hand feels in the stick, I'll go grab another one for next fight or to practice with it. So I have those there for the option of like, I don't like this one, whether it's superstition, whether it's me freaking out or what, but I do that. So I have the option of grabbing another one.
Is that grip tape on your handle, or is it just hockey tape?
It's grip tape.
Yeah.
It's grip tape. Yeah. So I wrap it all.
What makes a Bedford hilt a Bedford hilt? Like, what's different about it?
I think it's that design right there. I think Mike's the first one that kind of designed that style right there. It clamps to the wood instead of you have to wrap that tape rope around it. And in the bottom, it has a cap where you can actually drill out and put a lag screw with bolts in it. And that keeps it from spinning in my hand. And since I always add this is a piece of leather that butts up to the basket because my knuckles have a bad habit of popping the basket when I throw it.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't ask you to bring a shield, but do you do anything special to your shield when you make your shield?
No. My shield's usually heavier than a lot of people's. I use probably 4 layers of canvas on the front and layer on the back and put a lot of leather around the end of it because my style is a lot of just kind of boxing, and that heavy shield keeps it from being moved around and stuff. So I've had the same shield since Mike made it for me.
Oh, really?
2009, yeah.
Wow. So, no, go ahead.
I finally tore it apart since we had COVID and realized that T4 aluminum, whatever, as much as we've been practicing hitting each other with, is actually broke. It's cut. It's got 2 cuts, one right here where I blocked the flat snap and one at the bottom where I blocked leg wraps. So it's actually broke, and I didn't know it until I started peeling off the layers of fabric.
That's what happened to my first shield too. My first heater, it actually cracked on the forward corner from blocking snaps. Kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. I want to hang it up in my house somewhere.
Yeah. So why do they call you Big Country? What's that about?
Have you heard me talk?
Okay.
I mean, that's all I can say. And when my buddy, the Midtown Royale, my squad brother Angus, we came in together, and he's from a place called Grassy Creek, and he's a pig farmer. And the more we drink, the worse our accents get. And they used to call us Bo and Duke Luke.
Oh my God.
And there was times that when we got together and drank, people wouldn't even understand us. My buddy Angus, when he gets to drinking and talking, all you hear every once in a while, he'll be, Bo. That's right, Bo. That's the only thing you can understand from him. So I think that's where the Big Country came in.
Okay. So he's like Boomhauer when he drinks, huh?
Yeah, I get pretty bad myself.
All right. Well, let's do the final 10. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. If you could fight anyone in the world, who would it be?
My wife. Like you're talking bare knuckle, right? Legal.
You like that answer?
Definitely,
right.
Definitely.
If you could see anybody reign in your kingdom, who would it be?
You know what? I've been lucky to see a lot of reigns, but a buddy of mine, Sir Roussel, got in finals and lost to Anton last crown, but he's a really good dude. I'd love to see him reign in the kingdom.
Cool. If you could talk stick with anyone in the world for an hour, who would it be?
So there was a guy I met one time when I first started playing. I ain't seen him since. His name is Stefan von Dresden, and we sat around one Penzic, and I swear, as bad as country as I sound like, he sounds like Bill the Butcher from like Gangs of New York. And he taught me more sitting on a hay bale after my first Penzic. And the dude probably don't even know who I am from Adam, but he taught me more in that first Penzic. And I haven't seen him since that first Penzic. And I've talked to other people that know him real well. I'd love to sit around and talk stick with that dude for a while.
He is one of those guys that everybody's heard of. He's such a legend.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite medieval-esque or period movie?
Oh, that's easy. It's Kingdom of Heaven, man.
Okay, why?
Yeah, because it's good.
Because it's good. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. And yeah.
What event have you never gone to that you would like to go to?
I want to go to, I think it's called Lily's.
That Atlantia war?
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, it's a war. Yeah. Lilies. I'd love to go there.
What's your favorite tournament format?
Bedford's points.
Can you explain that? I've never heard that before.
Oh, so what it is me and you fight. There's 10 points that can be split between us. So what happens is if we fight and the best out of 3 win. If I win the first one and the second one, I get 10 points, you get 0. If I win the first one, you win the second one, I win the third one, I get 7, you get 3. If I win the first one, you win the second one, we double kill, it's 5-5. Oh. So what happens is you start getting points, but they start pairing you with people that are in your points. Does that make sense? Yeah. So after 4 or 5 rounds, I might have 60 points, but I'm fighting other people with 50 points, 60 points, 70 points. So after about 7 rounds, you know where you are. You're fighting people of your own equal caliber, and you're having a great time. The tournament at the end, it's not one of those tournaments that if I lose once or twice, because my first Amir, I went out there my first Amir, and there's a picture of me too I sent to Edmund from mid-round where I was madder than hell. I drove 4 hours to a meter, and my very first fight was Duke Ragnar, which he beat the hell out of me. My very second fight was Duke Edmund from the mid-round. I don't know this dude, he beat the shit out of me. So I rode 4 hours to be out in 2 rounds. I wasn't happy. Yeah.
No, that sounds like a great tournament format, so everybody gets a lot of fighting.
It is. And you pick how many rounds it's going to be. And if it's cool enough, you can say, hey, we're running this bed for points till the cows come home.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. What's your favorite event, or did you already tell me?
I told you, War of the Wings. By far, it's the best.
All right.
It's a war. Yeah, week long, cool weather.
If you could have any type of helmet, regardless of cost, what kind would it be?
I want a bar grill Saleh. Yeah, I like my bassinet, but I want one of those, not an open face bar grill Saleh, because I'm really getting into this late period type stuff, and that would just be a perfect helmet for that.
Salehs have such beautiful lines. They really do. And who doesn't want to fight in a Waffen Rock, really?
Right. Fact.
Right.
I've been saying Waffen Rock.
What's your favorite Pennsic story, or did you already tell me it?
Man, I got so many of it. I mean, I had a great Pennsic last year where my squire got so drunk that he had marital relations with a bog witch, I'm thinking, and he's got a Grindle child running around. I'm not sure. I mean, he don't even know what he did. He woke up the next morning soaking wet. So, I mean, so many Pennsic stories, dude.
All right. Who is your favorite person to fight?
Felix Del Rey, Sir Felix Del Rey. That's my squire brother, and he's one of the best fighters I think in the known world. And every time we fight him, I just have a good time.
Cool. All right, and then the last question: what do you think is the most important trait to become a successful fighter?
Fighting. Yeah. I mean, that's the secret. Just go fight. And when I say that, you need to know the difference between fighting and learning. Don't go to these practices and judge yourself about how you fight the dukes and the knights. Go to that practice and go, hey, I'm going to this practice to learn a flat snap. I'm going to this practice to learn my leg wraps. Know the difference. Don't fight to train to fight, if that makes sense. Because what happens if you go out there fighting to train, and all you're doing is training piss poor habits. And by the time you get to a certain level and you're not advancing anymore, you start blaming other people than yourself. And that's true. I've seen it a bunch of times, because if you're fighting piss poorly, it's your own fault. I mean, it's my fault if I'm fighting piss poor. If someone else is fighting piss poor, it's their fault. So you've got to know the difference between fighting and training.
If you could give someone a piece of advice to focus their training if they're frustrated, what would you tell them?
Like I said, train to fight, don't fight to train. And second of all, step back. give it a minute. The best thing that ever helped my fighting was getting my arm broke. I got my arm broke at a war one time, and I stepped back from fighting for about 3 months. And all I did was start looking in on how I fought. I looked at a lot of video, how other people fought, and it changed my whole attitude. And I realized right then, you know what? I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna do it for fun. Fun's winning, don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna learn from these fights and everything else. So just take a step back and be able to assess where you are, what you want to do, and then come back. Don't get burnt out with that frustration stuff. I know you're frustrated, but just take a step back, man.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you, Your Grace, so much for talking to me tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. I hope someday we cross paths in person and we can actually fight.
Okay.
That would be
Sounds
cool.
good. Thanks a bunch for having me, man.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us. Tomorrow I'm talking to Duke Malcolm from Ethelmark, so come join us again.
I know him well. He's an old Bedford dude. Tell him I said hey.
I will, definitely. Thanks again. All right, goodbye.